Hi, everyone. So let's go over today's story. Now, it's from the book of Daniel, which is in the Old Testament, and it's in chapter 3. And it's not about Daniel, but it's about some friends of his. So let's hear the story. This story is about a not-so-nice king and 3 men who really loved God. These men had really interesting names. The king's name was Nebuchadnezzar, and the 3 God-loving men were named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They lived in a place called Babylon, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego all worked for the king. One day, King Nebuchadnezzar decided to build a huge statue made of gold that stood 90 feet high, well, about 30 meters high. That is so high. Imagine 15 men all standing on top of each other to make a tall tower, or 5 giraffes standing on each other's heads. That was one tall statue. King Nebuchadnezzar then made an announcement. He said that whenever people heard music playing, they had to bow down to the statue. If someone didn't bow down to the statue, they would immediately be thrown into a fiery furnace, which was really like a giant oven that got super hot. They used furnaces to bake bricks and things like that. Would you want to go in there? Me neither. So, whenever music played, everyone stopped what they were doing and they bowed down to worship the statue. Everyone, that is, except for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When King Nebuchadnezzar heard these workers were not doing what he said, he was angry. He ordered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be brought before him to explain their actions. So, the men were brought before the king, and he asked them if what he heard was true, that they would not bow down and worship the statue of him. King Nebuchadnezzar even gave them another chance. He asked them that if the music played again, would they bow down? And he warned them what would happen if they didn't. He would have them thrown into the fiery furnace as punishment. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said they would not bow and would never bow down and worship something that was not the one true God. The king did not like this one bit. He ordered the men to be sent to the furnace, and that's what happened. All 3 of them were thrown into the big fiery furnace. But when King Nebuchadnezzar looked in the furnace, guess what he saw? He saw 4 men walking around the fire. Wait, what, 4? So then King Nebuchadnezzar walked as close as he could to the furnace without getting burned and shouted into the doorway, "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, follower of the Most High God, come out, come here." So the men walked out of the furnace without any burns. At that moment, Nebuchadnezzar knew that they worshipped the one true God. God had sent an angel to protect them from burning up. That's who the 4th person was in the furnace. The men truly trusted and believed in God and were willing to serve and worship God only, no matter the outcome of their choices. So in that story, that took a lot of courage for those 3 guys to stand up for what they knew was right and to stand up for God. And that can be a bit hard sometimes, but they knew that they could rely on God to give them that extraordinary courage. Let's put it a bit like this. Are you afraid of the dark? It's all right, because a lot of people are. And some people sleep with a nightlight on, absolutely fine. Now, for me, I'm not so afraid of the dark when I'm in my own house. But if I'm out camping or if I'm someplace I don't know, it can be a bit frightening because I don't know what certain noises are. I don't know where things are. But that's okay. Let's try an experiment. Let's turn the lights out. Now, by putting this light on, it helps us to see what's around us. And it gives us that little bit of courage so we aren't afraid of the dark. That's what it's like when you ask God to help you. He's like that light in the darkness. The scary situation is still there, but he's there to help you out and to see you through. Isn't that great to know? So now let's look at another scripture, and this is in the book of Psalms, and it's Psalm 46, verses 1 and 2. And it says, "God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give away and the mountains fall into the sea, though the waters foam and roar and the mountains quake with their surging. Oh, that sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? But it says we do not fear because God is with us, always with us. And so he can give us that courage. And these past few weeks, we've been hearing about some people in the Bible who had just that. They had the courage because God gave it to them. We've got Gideon, who was asked to do something really scary, and he didn't even know if he was really able to do it. And then we've got Joshua, who we heard about last week. He and his friends were told to defeat an entire army by just walking around and blowing on trumpets. That seems a bit crazy, doesn't it? And then this week, we heard about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. 3 guys who were thrown into a fiery furnace for refusing to bow down to a false god or to do something that went against what God asked them to do. That's a little bit tough sometimes, isn't it? But God gave them extraordinary courage when they needed it. And he can do the same thing for you as well. So no matter what scary situations, if you know that you're doing the right thing for God, if you know that it is what he wants you to do, ask him for that courage. And like that torch, it's not going to take the courage away, but it'll just give you that little bit of help to get you through that tough situation. All right, now let's look at our memory verse this week. And it is one that we've been working on, isn't it? And so it says, God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. All right, let's try that. God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. One more time. God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. And that's in Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. All right. Have a good week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.